Would please. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Monaca Borough Council regular council meeting for July 14th, 2015. Ask everyone to stand for the invocation and remain standing for the flag salute. Heavenly Father, as we come up and wrap up on the heels of celebrating 175 years of our little community being in existence, we thank you for our little place here in America. We ask that you look over everyone here this evening, get them home safely. We ask for a productive meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Snyder?
Here.
Mrs. Rossi? Here. Mr. May?
Present.
Mr. May?
Present.
Mr. Michael?
Present.
Mr. Booher?
Present.
Mr. Zigarelli?
Present.
Mr. Wilson? Mr. Nichol?
Here.
President DeMarzio?
Present.
Mayor Analine?
Present. Let the record show that Mr. Wilson's on his way in. It's going to be late. We'll open the floor up for the visitors section. Comments, questions regarding items on the agenda? Items on the agenda. Okay, I don't see anybody moving, so the visitors section is closed. We'll move on into Monaca Center alumni. Okay.
I got phone numbers about someone here. Okay, so they are here, they wanted me to come to try to finalize what they can do on that Saturday here in Monaca and what Monaca may or may not help them with. So they were thinking that I talked to Dawn and maybe the pump house might be a better location since we already put in the electrical for 175th. But they still wanted to hold a parade. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for council or the mayor, but I think the parade can still be conducted, the assistance of the police department. And I think the idea of trying to close down Pennsylvania Avenue and have the activity there was going to be a challenge because of notifying PennDOT and the proper time requirements. But shutting it down for a short period on the parade through shouldn't be a problem. Obviously, council would have to approve the police. You know, probably be some overtime needed to facilitate that. But other than that, there shouldn't be a problem.
And as far as like shutting that area of the, where the, it wouldn't be as much as 175th, obviously, it would just be that area where the turnaround is. So,
I don't think it would be a problem as well, just some additional hours of public works to, you know, with the barricades down there. Council will probably want to authorize some additional police protection for that evening, and that would be primarily additional expenditures for the borough would be police and maybe a few overtime hours of public works to help with the setup.
I guess if that would, if Monaca Borough was willing to help with that cost, that would be greatly appreciated. I mean, the other thing, I wasn't sure like where the stage isn't there, correct? You just put that, assembled it.
Yeah, it was a temporary stage we had brought in.
Okay.
It was down below.
Right. Now, we would have to bring that in or something to that
Yeah,
sort?
I believe our budgetary cost was around $1,700 for that portable stage. It was a pretty elaborate setup. I don't know that you have to go that big, but it's also possible that
We can
you
discuss
can
that.
get
I
a,
know
better
these are
price at that time of year. You know, if it's not, well, they might be willing to negotiate a better price. Obviously, you won't have the expense of the electrical with all the drops. I don't know how you're going to facilitate
Right,
that.
we were
Had
looking
you
into
done
having
it,
another electrician do that, but
yeah,
we figured.
that cost goes away for you, so maybe you could divert some of those monies to a stage of some sort.
Now, just one, I know some of this is, I said we probably should just sit down with like you and Dawn or somebody that knew, but if we didn't put the stage down in that area, if the band,
You'd have to get generators or whatever have you, because there's no other place to.
there's no other place. But as far as if we put it down there, we would have electricity. I know Dawn explained briefly to me how you went about it.
Yes.
Okay. Now, they were talking of the parade to end it at night, but I said, why not take it all the way down to how we were gonna do? Is that a problem doing that?
It's a little bit of a problem, because then now we have to close down the other bridge.
Okay, we don't have to do it. We could end it at, the more, you know,
For the
right there.
175th, obviously, we were gonna do that, but we had to get 2 permits. We had to get one for Chief applied one for 9th Street and one in the borough applied for one for Pennsylvania Avenue. So it's a little bit more elaborate, yeah.
Okay.
Spending it at night is,
Okay, there would be no problem, just starting it like at St. John's and then
yeah.
ending down here. Okay. I think that's all. So that is, I guess that would be the plan then, is to have the parade. I believe they want to start the parade at 5. That would change. We'll do it from St. John's down to here. And then it would be down at Pump House. If that's
And it's
okay.
Saturday night, correct?
That would be Saturday the 5th, I think the 4th is, the festivities will take place at the stadium on the 4th, and then at the Turners, the Jaggers are there. And then the 5th will be the parade, and then down here. If that's okay with us.
I'm not hearing anything. Okay? Nobody's saying anything, so that means okay.
That's good? Okay, and then I can,
Yeah, please,
We will come
your
and talk to
committee,
Mario, he
contact
can-
myself
yeah.
and,
you can relay to council the rest of,
yeah.
okay.
I don't, personally, I don't think you're doing anything out of the ordinary. It's not gonna be that difficult for us to approve of it. It's almost a mini celebration of what we had previously. So,
Yeah, I guess that's all they really wanted to know, you know, obviously they came here last time and asked if you would donate money. I think that if council was willing to just donate that part of it, that's wonderful, because that's an expense, so, okay, I will bring that back to them. And then I'll get with Mario and Dawn about the details. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Luna, do you have any communication?
No communications.
Okay. Need a motion then to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 23rd, 2015 council meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Brewer makes the motion, Mr. Zigarelli seconds it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please signify by saying nay. Carries. Move on to fiscal and contractual, motion to approve the monthly bills.
So moved.
Question.
Question on the motion, go ahead.
We're gonna hire Mr. Tooma again for vegetation control. Already voted to have it sprayed once. And I've been looking at Cascade, green as can be and still overgrown. So, did he actually perform any services?
I know we discussed holding off on Cascade for the cleanup. That we're gonna do it. We never did coordinate the trash. No. We didn't want to spray it and then.
Well, I didn't take them up because I got the impression you were going to spray right away.
Right. So that hasn't been coordinated. I'll have to confirm whether or not he actually did it or not. As of this date, I don't believe it was.
Were any of the other sites sprayed that were voted on?
I know he held off at the boat launch until after our 175th celebration, so whether that was done since then, I'm not sure. I'll check with you.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Brewer made the motion, Mr. Zigarelli seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carries. Mayor's report.
Yeah, the total number of citations and warnings was 96. Total calls for service was 124. Total monetary receipts for the month of June was $2,404. Take that back, $2,437.18. I'd also like to let everybody know that we did swear in Officer Smith today. So we will put him on board after he rides with Sergeant for a while. Any questions?
Questions for the mayor? Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything on 175th, sir?
Yeah, obviously, take a few moments here and I'd like to thank a lot of people. I hope, the 175th anniversary, it went really well, other than the rain, kind of messed the parade up. But I hope if you did get to attend any of the events, they were all very, very nice. They really ended up very nice. Started out with a bike run. I know Danny and Councilman Brewer were in charge of that. And of course it rained, but we still had a good time and everything went well and raised money for the 175th. The blood drive, I think they got like 150 units, about 150 units of blood on the blood drive we had out the Turners. Then they had the Phoenix Glass presentation down at the library. It was very interesting to hear what she had to say about all the stuff that came out of Phoenix Glass over the years. And then on Thursday night down at the church down on Indiana Avenue, the history lesson that Carol Dietrich Ripper and Eileen English put on was fantastic. I don't know if anybody got to see it, but it was really interesting. I know Mr. Bigarelli was there. It was really interesting on the early parts of Monaca and Phillipsburg. It was something, there was probably about 100 people there, and it really came out really nice. Then the Friday night social, which was awesome. Don and Gabby put a lot of time into that, and it came out real well. So thank you very much, ladies. Couldn't do it without you there. Obviously, Saturday we had to cancel the parade. Mr. McKay was in charge of the parade, and unfortunately we had to, just wouldn't let it happen. I felt really bad. I thought we put together a nice lineup. But then the pump house area was an awesome place to have the celebration. Everyone got to come down. We spent about $7,000 on electrical, and $6,000 of that is permanent that we're going to keep down there. That came out of the funds that we raised. So nothing came out of the borough for that part of it. So it's there for now for what other events you want to have down there. If you ever want to consider having a community day down there. Thought it was a real nice place. The firemen were real helpful down there. The police department. Everything went well. No issues. We had no issues with anything. Knock on wood. The fireworks were beautiful, obviously. And Sunday, we had a service down at the Carey Center, which, again, it was fantastic. They actually want to talk about having that every year, a community service for Monaca. They put it together over about a month period, and it was very nice. And they actually bought a tree that they want to plant down at the Memorial Park, with everybody's name on it. It was nice too. So, I mean, there's a lot of people to thank. Kurt obviously came down, and his crew, and Danny, and Simon, and Darren, and everybody. Appreciate all their help. They came out on Saturday morning, on their time to help us set up too. So for everybody that helped, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Wilson, go ahead, Mr. Brewer.
I want to commend you, Mayor, on everything you did for organizing this entire 175th. It was fantastic. You deserve a big round of applause.
Mr. Wilson's not here yet. You should have in your packet a highway report as well as a water report. And Kurt, do you have something prepared for the wastewater treatment plant?
Yes.
Okay.
Typical. Pardon my name.
Do it there. We'll get you, we'll circle back to you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, President DiMarzio, Vice President McKay, Mr. Leone, Solicitor York, ladies and gentlemen of council. Curtis DeJoven, Borough of Monaca, wastewater treatment plant operator. Brief report for June 2015. NPDES permit compliance. The treatment plant was not in compliance for the month of June 2015. You can see that in paragraph A of the report. Section 2, pretreatment program is monitoring is ongoing. Laboratory is conducted 7 days a week as required. Sanitary waste hauling and processing, receipts for the month, $10,697. Belt filter press operations, we were in operation for 11 days during the month. Total disposal cost $2,929.85. Under Section 6, maintenance construction operations, there's a slew of items there. You can feel free to review those as time permits. Safety topic discussion was a review of the Heimlich maneuver. A YouTube video was reviewed for this, and very informational and obviously essential given our society conditions. Section 8 personnel, all contractual obligations were met with the exception of paragraph A for the borough's employees during the month. You know what, if I may, we did have a problem, I'm sorry, Mr. Marzio.
Sorry.
We had a problem with a bar string. It's the only unit, usually typically in wastewater treatment, there's redundant systems. However, the way the treatment plant's configured, this is the only piece of equipment, and once it goes out, violations can occur. We had such a scenario late in the month of June. The parts were requisitioned. We were able to get the unit back online. However, the gears inside are marginal at best, so we ordered replacement gear with an additional gear package. It's a dual speed reducer package, so we will keep that on the shelf, and that will help us to avoid any further reoccurrences of violation regarding this piece of equipment.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson? Yes.
Mr. Joven, we still taking in waste from the haulers?
Yes.
Are we going to continue to?
I mentioned that in the report, the receipts from the waste haulers were $10,697. That's a lot of money to let go. I would hope to keep that ongoing. The DEP may have second thoughts about that, coming to the new permit that's being drafted now. My understanding is some facilities have been told they cannot receive those products anymore because of the chronic violations that they experience. Monaca is not one of those. However, I would like to keep that. It's obviously beneficial to the borough.
But at this point in time, we are?
Correct.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right. Here,
Yes.
you got anything on highway?
Just real quick, in the package, there should be an outline of agenda meetings from our our meeting that we had. I got it, thank you. Just real quick, it was the first committee meeting that all the departments were represented and brought together, so I tried to be brief in regards to the length of that meeting, get a few topics out, but not really evolve into everything. The next couple meetings will get into a little bit more deeper, but in the report that you have, there's information regarding from each one of the departments and what their main concern was, and the committee agreed with all the main concerns. And feel free to read that. If anybody has any questions, feel free to email me and I can go into further detail. As Mr. Jobin did allude in his conversation he was just having now with Mr. Michaels, we did stop taking sleds for approximately 1 day when that gear was down. But the gear went down the same day we had a meeting. Kurt was able to order that gear, get it up and running, and we were back in about a day and a half, that's it. Any questions?
I may want to ask an important question here. I want to ask Mr. Brewer the same thing we did here. Were there any problems with running that meeting as it stands now, as opposed to?
No, there was no problems at all in regards to running that meeting. Unfortunately, it was one of the rain days. We had 2 individuals that were delayed from getting to that meeting, but the amount of people that were there and the volume of what was to be discussed was fine. No problems at all.
Okay, so we're good going forward. All right, and, okay, we had water, that was in the packets as well. Let's move on to general government. Mr. Brewer, I'll ask you the same question. You had your first?
Yes, we just had a brief meeting. We went over some personnel matters, and Jeff brought up some items that he needed to get done for the EMA room. And the next meeting, we plan on having the mayor and the chief and the 3 fire chiefs there. No problems.
Okay, that'll tell you report, and thank you, sir. Then I'll need a motion to approve the contract with the Beaver County Humane Society.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Burrow made the motion, Mr. Ziegler seconded to enter this agreement with the Humane Society. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please signify by saying nay. Thank you. Next, we'll need a motion to approve agreement for the architectural services with Hancock Architect for the library elevator. Do
So moved.
I hear a second?
Second.
Question.
Question? Mr. Michael?
We didn't have an architect look at this before we put out the bid the first time?
Yeah, I'll let Mr. Leon elaborate on what happened.
Yeah, we have to redo the entire process again because the bids weren't accepted by the county commissioners due to the prevailing wage situation. So in essence, we have to go through the entire process again. In addition, when the first bid went out, we have received supplemental monies through the Keystone Grant. That adds a new twist to the funding priorities of the money and how it's being spent. So that language all needs to be incorporated into this bid specs and meeting all those guidelines. The anticipated cost should not exceed $3,000, but it's one of those things, it's just the cost of doing business. Yeah,
They wouldn't accept the first architect, they wouldn't accept it?
Mr. Michaels, the project went out for bid.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm saying we
There
can't
was
use
there
the
was a low
architect's
bid,
first
there was a
design.
low bid contractor.
Yep.
That was then awarded the
I
bid.
know the story.
Okay. If you know the story, then the question should be answered as to why this is being redone.
What I don't understand, I understand the rebid. I'm saying we had an architect come in for the design before we put the first bid out.
They have to go through the whole process again.
Even
They
the
have-
architect, we can't,
The architect is who handles the whole process.
thank you, question answered.
Well, here's the story in a nutshell. It's the county's money, we gotta play by their rules. I mean,
That's fine.
it's not palatable, but we have to do what we have to do to get this on.
Just trying to save us a little bit of cash, that's all.
If it was able to be saved, it would have already been done. This is a formality and this is how it, how it works.
It's a done. Mr. Snyder.
Just real quick, the prevailing wage does not only pertain to schools and things of that nature.
It prevails.
Well, it's no longer a school, so the Dave was speaking at.
It's any project over $25,000. Any project over $25,000. There regardless, school, government, $25,000. Okay, any further questions? Okay. Then Mr. Brewer made the motion. Do I have a second on this?
Second.
Second by Mr. Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, we have a motion then to approve ordinance number 942 vacating 21st Street.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Brewer makes a motion, Mr. Ziegler seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay.
President DeMarzio, if I may interrupt you for a moment.
Sir.
Because there are technical requirements to be complied with before and after the adoption of the ordinance, I want the minutes to reflect the following items. First, a personal notice was sent to all the abutting property owners prior to advertising the ordinance. It was sent by registered mail and ordinary mail. All the recipients acknowledged receipt by signing a return receipt card, and none of the ordinary mailings were returned to me. Secondly, we sent and obtained from all the abutting property owners except one and these property owners were the ones who would have 21st Street as the sole means of access to their property. we gained consents from all of them except CSX. And we sent it to CSX only as a caution. They really don't have access or need access to 21st Street because they're a railroad and because there are barriers to gaining access to their tracks at that location. So I didn't really fully expect them to acknowledge receipt or by signing a consent. So I think that's not an issue. The ordinance was advertised for 2 successive weeks, once on June 24th and once on July 1st. We made available that ordinance in a full text copy here at the Borough Building and at the Beaver County Law Library. We made available the map that's attached to the ordinance, and we listed in that ordinance all the abutting property owners as required by the Borough Code. Any interested person was entitled to request a hearing within 10 days after the second ad appeared, and no one made such a request, therefore no hearing needs to be held and we won't hold one. We said notice of the adoption with the ordinance and map sent to all the property owners in the Kelowna plan. We've reserved right-of-ways in the ordinance for water and sewer lines that are appearing on the map that's attached to the ordinance. Once you adopt it, I will take that ordinance as required by the Borough Code and record it at the Recorder of Deeds office and at the Clerk of Court's office at the courthouse. We will then, after that's recorded, prepare deeds back to the abutting property owners indicating that they now have property interests to the middle of the street, depending on what side they're located.
Do you have all that? Okay, so that's gonna be listed in the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. Okay, I believe, let me back it up just so we have clarity here. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Name, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. We'll move on to Chairman's report for Monaca Volunteer Community Outreach Committee. Mrs. Andrews.
Good evening. We still continue cleanup. We're just doing maintenance along Pennsylvania Avenue right now, 17th Street. Each week the kids are weeding. We did start putting out an herbicide similar to green, excuse me, on the islands to try to keep the weeds down, especially with all the rain we have. Did we have more work? Thank you. We'll be working with that. Mr. Leone, I apologize. I thought that the spraying was starting more or less immediately, so I didn't send the kids out on the road cleanup. If they have not sprayed, we can go on Friday, get it done, and you'd be good to go. Get that finished. If they haven't already.
Get back in on Friday.
I think I can have the kids in on Friday. As long as it's not raining, we should be able to have the kids Friday. At the very latest, it would be Monday. So we could get the road cleaned up there. What I will need, if someone can assist me, we'll need to shut down Cascade for about an hour from the top and the bottom because of the curve and a couple of curves. It's just blind spots for safety. But we'll shoot for Friday if you'd like, if they haven't already sprayed. Okay. And I think that's about it with the community outreach.
How about the downtown business?
Oh, I'm very happy to tell you about that. I think for the first time in many years, I feel optimistic. And I hope Mr. Brewer shares a little bit of that with me. I had an interesting phone call. I know you made many attempts to speak with Mr. Benio about his property on Pennsylvania and how it looks, to remedy it in some way. He called me and asked if I'd meet him on the 4th of July. I met him. He went over the 4 buildings with me, we looked at them, we're going to photograph. He has submitted to the economic development for the grant for 4 buildings to do a facade improvement. At the end of the meeting, I asked him for a favor, and the favor was, would you please paint those boards on that building? Sure, they don't look the greatest there, but at least they're painted, they look cleaner and a little neater, and it kind of takes a little bit of the antagonism away. He said it would be done at the end of the week, or by the end of the week. It was done within 3 days. He had it completed. So that was appreciated, and I feel optimistic because he has some wonderful thoughts of what he'd like to do with those buildings. They will tie in with Dr. Troya's facade. They won't match, but they will be, let's say, they'll blend in so that everything is more uniform along that block. So if everything goes well on that, I'll be really happy. There's one glitch I have to check into. It does have me concerned. There is, unless they make some sort of an exception, the building has to have a tenant in it within 30 days or 60 days of completion of the facade. Now, how does anybody guarantee that? And how do you improve your downtown or get somebody into the building if you don't have the building renovated? So I need to check into it. I do, and we'll call into Suzanne Wadrak for more specific information on that. If you've been past the draft house, they've started doing the brickwork on the building, painting. It appears like the paint is done. It is going to be lovely when it's finished, and it looks like Mr. Miller's at P-Dubs, he's getting a little bit more done. He's running into some difficulties with the contract, and that is currently being looked at through economic development, through Mrs. London and is it Mrs. Sigmore? Lisa Sigmore, I think.
Yes.
I believe they're looking at that, trying to get the issues resolved with that. They've had extensions and different things going on with that, but that's where we're at. So we actually are looking, hopefully, at 6 buildings.
It's a major,
And
major milestone.
it's a big step, and I'm optimistic, maybe overly optimistic, but at least we finally see some action going on downtown.
Bouncing off the bottom here. In conjunction, if I may add to that, the draft house, the alley there, he went out of his way to get some slack over there. Again, we just a little bit more in the middle there. There's a big humongous spot. I think that's a lot of reasons why people go the other way to egress that area there. And then later on, next year or whatever, we can look at that.
They seem to have some heavy equipment in that alley right now,
Yeah.
too.
JLG with the brickwork. Betty, I'm sure, and I'm not blowing smoke, a lot of this has to do with your efforts to improve the downtown. I think Todd, you want to have Mr. Brewer as well. We still will be spending on those. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have a good team, and I would just rather convey that to the entire team. And also to Mr. Leone, who's been a great help to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Pat, thanks for having the kids come down for the festival and clean up all day. She had the kids come all day. They were there from noon till 11 o'clock at night, cleaning up and being garbage.
And thank you for feeding me.
No problem, my pleasure.
Council of Government. Mr. Brewer, anything else? Manager's report, Mr. Leon.
Since, listen, I'm gonna take some of your thunder, maybe you forgot. Actually, I think there's some very exciting things happening with the Council of Governments. In conjunction with the Council of Governments, the Boroughs Association, and the Township Association, we're gonna be hosting a collaborative conference at Old Stonewall on October 29th. We're on the initial planning stages of the event. We've just secured a keynote speaker. His name is Ian Hill. He's a motivational speaker on leadership with a specific emphasis on public works. I've had the opportunity to hear him speak on 3 occasions, and actually the borough was engaged with a program that he implemented here that many of the employees partake in as well. I'm looking forward to it. First and foremost, just the collaboration of the townships and the boroughs on a first-time event. Typically, these events were done separately. We're bringing them together, and I think this unity is really going to move Beaver County forward, and everybody working together for the same goal. So, on the council of government, I think that was a huge effort and task. This is something we've probably been trying to do for about 40 years. And so, stay tuned. Please pencil in on your calendar. I know many of you have full-time jobs, but if you're able to take that day off, I think it's going to be a great opportunity. And also, we're going to try and get in 9 holes of golf after the event for those that can hit the ball around a little bit. I'm looking forward. I've never played the course. Looking forward to that as well.
You take a vacation. Just kidding.
From 4 o'clock.
Oh, just kidding. Is that it for your matters report?
All right, first in your packet, I have for you some pictures of the gas line leak that occurred in front of the borough building. When I gained employment at the borough, and every time I walked through that front door, I smelled that odor of gas. And it continued for 7.5 years. They made several patches out there, and we would call them pretty much on a monthly basis. That there's a leak, they'd come out, and Monaca, one of the unique towns of having both Peoples and Columbia Gas in our boundaries. We call them both out, they've investigated, they were unable to identify the source. Here, the leak actually occurred underneath these broken out brick, which is a storm sewer. And the leak was in there, so they were never able to find it because the gas was actually coming up through the storm sewer. They made that repair. The next picture shows you the repair. They connected the storm sewer with the Fernco's and new piping, and it was an interesting sight to see how things were solved in the field when things happened. It was crafty masonry and brickman work, I must say. But anyway, the smell has subsided, and I think we corrected the problem. The next item is a bid advertisement from the county's community development project, and this was for demolition for their county program. But what's exciting about this is it includes 3 properties in the borough of Monaca, 2 of them which exist on Beach Street, and then the third one is on 14th Street Extension. Originally, the house on 14th Street Extension wasn't on the list. I pointed that out to the county director and explained to him such close proximity of this house to wait for the next year just wasn't a real fiscally prudent decision. So what happens is they go on a list in not numerical order, and they just chop away at it accordingly. He graciously bumped us up due to the condition that it sits in right now. So we're looking to have those 3 homes done shortly. The bids came in. I believe it was Allegheny Electric was the name of the company that won the bid. So they're basically acting as the primary contractor and subbing this work out to another demo company. And the county was just doing their due diligence, making sure that they were competent contractors and met all their guidelines and criteria. So I look for this work to be done in the coming month or so. The next item is a letter from the Department of Environmental Protection, and it's regarding our chlorine permit. This has been a long, probably over a year process. We were trying to get a new permit. They've been strongly recommending that we move away from chlorine gas to a safer method. So this is a tablet system that they gave us permit to do it, and we have 2 years to come into compliance with this. And in conjunctions with this, we had a meeting with the DP representative that does their annuals and biannual checks, fully aware of our operation, the concern with the electrical problems and the operation of our pumps, and 16 being our primary, fully aware of it. There's no concerns, and we understand it. So hopefully that increases some assurances of members of this board and residents. The water department is safe and working sound. The next item is a letter from Catalyst Connection. They were the prime consultant that worked in a grant submittal for the manufacturing designation. And taking you back a little ways, Monaca was very key in hosting and getting that manufacturing forum held here in Beaver County. It was held in Shadow Lakes about 1.5 years ago. Out of that, we applied for a grant approximately 1 year ago to get this designation of a manufacturing region. Unfortunately, we weren't accepted. One of the primary concerns was it was an area that encompassed all the way from Youngstown, Ohio to West Virginia, and went all the way east to Johnstown. So it was a very large area. There was some issues with the mayor of Youngstown that really black-eyed our application, and we weren't selected. We resubmitted it again. Monaca is spotlighted in this application on multiple pages in the application, primarily from our EPA area-wide brownfield study and the 17th Street corridor improvements. We were accepted as one of the, I believe it was 22 in the country that was selected. Get to that letter. Does anybody have it in their front of them? I think it was 21 or 22 in the country. Our region was selected, and with Monaca being highlighted in this, what this does is enhances our opportunities for additional grant funding. It's a huge milestone. I'll leave it at that. And then the next item that I have to bring to the council's attention is the water tank at Kermit Avenue. There's a cell tower on it, and Cricket was bought out by AT&T, and they no longer need that antenna. We have an ongoing lease with them, and they would like to get out of the lease. In it, some of the language, them having to remove the equipment and whatnot. We don't use the tank any longer, and actually, it was our interest and desire to demo this tank, but we couldn't demo the tank because the cell tower was attached to it. They are offering a monetary amount of $15,000 to get out of the lease. Solicitor Urick has this information in front of him. He's researching it as well, but at some point we will need to have further discussion on this topic on whether or not we accept that $15,000. And what they're asking is they would just leave that equipment behind. We could possibly sell it or to another potential, which isn't our desire, but I think we would just demo it. It would go along with all the other demoing, and quite frankly, I don't think the demo cost is going to be that much more with that equipment currently there. So I think it's a windfall for us. In addition to that, after demoing that tank, it's a very nice neighborhood. I think we could put that property on the market, hopefully get a home built there. And this is all money that we're certainly going to need for the equipment upgrades for the electrical issues at the water or pump revitalization. So Solicitor Urick has information. He's looking at it from a legalese standpoint, and I anticipate in 2 weeks that we'll probably come back with some formal recommendation as to what direction we suggest that the council goes. Any questions?
Yes, when did we start that lease with Cricket?
It was in the early 2000.
2003, I think. it is.
And what do they pay us a month?
It was originally in the 2000, and then I think it was it was on a 5-year increment, and actually you think it would go up, but it actually went down. We're currently at around 1,400, and it's $16,400 a year.
And how long is the lease?
It's in 5-year increments.
But I'm saying, what's left on this one if they want us to bow out on, that's my concern. When's it
I don't,
up?
well, there's a whole lot of legally, you can give a 30-day notice and you can get out of it and all that, so it's not like we can keep asking for that 1,400 for the next 3 years, if that's what you're asking.
I think altogether it was a 20 to 25-year lease from the very beginning. The reason that it was lowered is they went into bankruptcy, restructured their debt, and it caused a reduction in the lease payment. Some leases, they were freed by the bankruptcy court to just walk away from. Ours was not one of them. That's what caused the decrease in the amount. I don't have the original lease on my system, so when I get it, I'll be able to tell better how long it was for.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. You should have had something in your packet regarding neighborhood services officer. Mary, you haven't updated all how Owen's doing.
Owen's doing a fantastic job. I'm amazed at the accomplishments he's made in his short 3 weeks with the borough. His report is self-explanatory. He's made resolution on issues that have been in existence for years, and I really don't know how he did it other than he did it. Outstanding.
Yeah, and counting it, 46 issues he's dealt with.
Dealt with them.
He's
Any idea how many
report
resolved?
anyway.
Yeah, I don't recall how many were resolved out
I don't know how many it's resolved.
We had an issue in previous meetings in regards to vicious dogs and pit bulls, and Monaca Borough has a pit bull with, it's amazing.
All right, I'm just curious myself. All right, next one you have the borough solicitor's report. Mr. York, do you have anything, sir? Oh, Mr. Michael.
Yes, do we have a list of all the warnings, violations, is that going to be made public? No, I'm saying within the last 2 years.
There's a file. There's a file in the borough.
Of everybody that's been warned, charged, cited, and that can be seen by anybody? And that can be seen by anybody?
I don't think so.
Is it public record?
It depends on the nature of the request and what kind of information, and is in it. Generally, the answer to your question is yes, but if there's information in it that shouldn't be divulged, then it can't be divulged.
The reason I ask is people came to me with complaints, and they want to know the status of, in most cases, their neighbors and their own property value. And instead of them running to me, hey, what are they doing about this? Go look for yourself, you know.
Well, the process is just not that simple, although I
Well,
think I understand what you're saying.
If they know they've been warned,
Rich.
Rich, or cited, then, you know,
They could, any person could request a document that is in existence. The right to know law does not allow for someone to just request information. They can request a document that's in existence. They can't request the borough to create a document that's not in existence. So to the extent that there's some kind of list or paperwork documenting that, it would presume to be something that should be given pursuant to a request. What I've advised your staff here to do is to remain consistent in how information is provided. Some residents may be put off by making a written request pursuant to the Right to Know Act, but that is the way that I've advised your staff to operate, so that they could be consistent so that everybody is treated the same way, and so that it's done in an orderly fashion. So if they just show up and say, "Can I have it?" I've instructed your staff to not comply with that because that doesn't comply with the right to know.
Understood. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, people have come to me and I've turned issues in the past, and they want to know what has transpired. I can't give them an answer, and for the amount of complaints that come in, I'm not going to be on the phone calling the office all day. Is there a way that they could find out if at least their complaint has been addressed?
They can file a right to know request.
Okay,
Or call the code enforcement officer.
Well, I was just gonna say, in the 6 months I've been there, I haven't seen one of these reports like this, as thorough as this, so, I mean, I would say to follow it up, if you had to file another, you would advise them to file another complaint. It looks like we're seeing some really good productivity here, some really good movement forward, so it doesn't hurt at this point.
Okay. Okay, for our solicitors report,
Yeah, no, I'm not.
all right, keep it on.
I was asked to look over and prepare, which I did, the vacancy ordinance. We've held off adopting that because we were also looking at the property maintenance code revisions that Owen has recommended the borough to adopt. I got a copy of that property maintenance code, and I'm asking for him to review it to see which sections he thinks are most applicable to the borough and which ones shouldn't be adopted. The document and the book containing them is really long, contains some regulations that probably don't fit exactly with what the model of your community is. So we're going to have him look at it and take out those parts that we don't want or amend some parts that we do want. So once that's done, then we'll be able to blend in and recommend adoption of the vacancy ordinance as well. Incidentally, a gratuitous comment on my part about your code enforcement officer. He's likely to make a lot of people mad, which is a good thing. Because far too long, you've had instances where residents who may be angry also by this comment have been permitted to slide on violations. And what I've seen of this kid, he's going to be dogging everyone. So if he's getting people mad, he's doing his job. You as members of council may get flack from voters about that, but he's doing his job, and that's a good thing.
Any questions for the solicitor? Rich?
That's it.
Thanks. Mr. Michael, you have any new business, sir?
no, but I'd like to have some requests at the end of the meeting, please.
Okay, we'll circle back under,
Thank you.
Mr. Brewer,
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Zigarelli, Mr. Wilson.
I don't know business, thank you.
Mr. Snyder?
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Desovich? Mr. May?
Not this time.
Okay. All business. Mr. Snyder, anything?
Yeah, street sweeper, I mean, is it gonna be right up one hill? I mean, we just paid a considerable amount of money to get that ran. Maybe someone can look into that. If they're not gonna do it, then how about selling it? Maybe use the money for something else.
I've been moving my vehicle religiously, and as have my neighbors, as have a lot of people downtown. And I spoke with Danny about this. We need to get out there and sweep these streets. Frank's right. I don't know if we've been sweeping your street in the past.
It hasn't
But,
been done since one time since
we haven't hit.
street sweeper came back.
We haven't hit anywhere. And I understand Dan right now is, according to him, he's shorthanded. We've got people, Mario, all we're asking is we're turning to you on it, you're the boss. Make a call if you got to rearrange some schedules or what have you. don't want to make you a bad guy, but people are paying good money, as Frank pointed out. We already spent $25,000 at least one time this summer. I'd like to see that clean. Until perhaps, Mr. Wilson, that's going to be under your committee. We need to discuss going forward how we're going to do that as far as street sweep, the leaf pickup, the whole 9 yards. And that has slipped my mind, but I'm glad you brought that up. I'd like to see this, somehow we encompass the whole thing, even garbage pickup. So either we're going to do it, or if we're not going to street sweep, then we don't street sweep. I'm neither here nor there with it.
Look, prior to getting it repaired, we had someone, there's 3 of them at CEO, right?
At least,
I mean, it's not
Andy-
full-time, they could rotate.
We actually did speak about this, and it's in the meeting minutes from the committee meeting. It was one of the items that were addressed. One of the other things to take into consideration is again, road department was staying short-staffed. But also, I believe on 196 days, there's been a total of 57 that were dry. So I don't think we ran it too much in the rain or in the snow prior. So I know that they are short-staffed, the weather has not been cooperating with it.
Well, if I may report, it was broken all the way until when, we didn't get it back till late. So where was it raining?
What do you mean, Frank? I'm not following you. It was broke all winter, we got it fixed, we got it back late.
Right, it wasn't until June we got it back, right?
I don't say, I expect rain every day now. Every day I get up. If it doesn't rain, I'm concerned.
My point is, even though it's
Yes.
gonna be more debris on the road.
I agree.
The rain's gonna carry and not sweep everything into the storm sewer.
Understood.
And then the dry
Now,
days.
in conjunction with that, I have seen our road crew out there cleaning off storm sewers. So at least that's a plus. But all I'm saying, I'm turning to Mario on it. He's the boss.
Thank you.
I think he hears us. Without getting into, Jeff.
My only concern is because we brought this up at the meeting, and I'll defer to Officer Curie, since he's our officer here tonight. I don't know how we can enforce the tickets if
We're not right.
we're not writing them, but we're still paying 3 guys for CDLs. And that is the,
You're being heard, Jeff. You're
Thank
being
you.
heard. I think Mario heard you. Okay, anything else, Frank?
Nothing?
Randy? Ron? Jeff?
You get the list.
I have the list, and I apologize for not getting it to you sooner. I wanted just to settle out with the committees if that would have worked, and I got to just revamp the assignments, get the new data on there. If you have anything else, I haven't forgotten it, Jeff. And I'll get it to the committee heads, so that can be discussed in the committees, and we get action moving forward on that. That's where that stands. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, just ask in the full business, up at Alair Park. Where's that at?
We're still waiting for
The approval.
building code approval. There's a little glitch in regards to a water fountain. I don't know if I share that at all. Okay, yeah. The building codes with the new building restrooms, it requires you to have a water fountain. There's no provisions for a water fountain. I don't know if we want to do that or not. Water fountains, amazingly, you're probably looking at $2,000 for the fixture and then additional plumbing and everything. It could be a $3,000 add-on for it. And then you've got the winterization and accessibility. It has to be handicap accessible. Where are you going to put it? It really throws a wrench into it. So they're trying to resolve that issue to it. And then there was a couple other minor ones that the architects had to get back to the building code official. And
Question.
Yeah, real quick, as far as the water fountain's concerned, is it possible that we could submit something to delete it altogether? My reason being stone quarry, they don't have water fountains, they're gone. If you want it, you gotta build it yourself, assemble it, take it down in the winter so that it doesn't freeze up. Same with the Little League field, those ones are gone too. So they prefer you buy bottled water. So,
For a minute there, I was hearing Dennis Cronin talking about a hand crank. Ones used to have a Brady's run.
I go to my mom's house.
yeah, Frank, those are all great ideas and everything, but if we were building a new bathhouse at Stone Quarry, we would then have to put a water fountain. And that's what it gets, you know, those were old, the new regulations come into play, and that's what we're facing. We are trying to look at the code the way it's written and see if there's a way that we can, you know, loop out of it. But right now, that was something the building inspector had put on it, and we're looking at ways of establishing hardship. If they don't agree and remove that, our next step is that a hearing comes before the variance board for the code approvals that would then have to grant that for us. So there is a process for it, but it further delays it.
So more to follow. Okay, where was that? Mr. Wilson?
No old business.
Mr. Zagorelli? Mr. Brewer? Mr. Michael?
Yes. In the absence of code enforcement and permits, did anybody apply for permits in the absence of us having a?
Not having a neighborhood services
Yes.
officer?
Yes. And how did we handle that? Okay. Were they all granted?
Not every one of them. Some of them, you had hearings where residents came before you and asked
Yes.
council's approval to get them granted. But I believe every applicant that was brought before were processed accordingly and were done either by myself or this board.
Did we find, or maybe I should just ask you to direct it to our new NSO officer, if there were any fences built in that time frame that weren't applied for, please?
How do you know?
He'd go around and see who's got fences up and make sure there's a permit involved.
There's no way. There's no way.
All right, new fences that are up with a
Newer,
How would
I
you
mean,
know?
you
How
can
would
maybe
you
look
know?
at the newer,
Yeah, how would you know?
newer.
Look at a fence,
I've come-
John, and tell you whether it's been there for over a year.
Every place in Monaca, you can tell something happened.
I know where new fences are.
Okay. Can you help us out?
Sure, I will.
All right.
Be glad to.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. We're going to open the floor up to visitor section. Anything that's on your mind, please approach the podium, state your name, your address, and your concern.
Is that mic on?
What?
Is that microphone on?
I know.
Still working?
Hey, I have no idea how to do it.
It's working.
Caller to the 826 Washington Avenue. Maybe I missed this, Mr. Street Sweeper. Are we gonna have it again?
Mario's going to address that. Try to get them out there. I think
Okay.
in summer vacations and bad weather, it's kind of hard, but I'd like to see it. Rusty.
My street wasn't set for 4 weeks. And I did it from 9th Street to my house. Am I now a street sweeper too? Accordingly.
I hear you.
Okay, Mr. Mario, please inform me what's going on.
There was a staffing issue in getting the sweeper run. Obviously, we were very consumed with putting on the 175th celebration. We got that off, and then, of course, there were other items that needed to be attended to. We will strive to get the street sweeper running on a more frequent basis. In conjunction with that, I believe the Public Works Committee will be discussing moving forward. Will it be run every week? Will it run monthly? Moving forward, we will discuss that because obviously we were faced with a $30,000 repair cost, and obviously the more frequent that you run the piece of equipment, the faster it's going to break down. It's an older piece of equipment. We really need to stretch its longevity. Those will be items that the committee will be discussing and recommending. as we move forward. But I will talk to Mr. Colville, the Public Works Superintendent, and work to get it running through the streets.
I would really like to see that.
And again,
Every week.
since we're not enforcing it, please encourage your neighbors to move their vehicle to accommodate it, otherwise it'll just be
Yes.
weaving in and out, but
And
they'll do the best they do
They
the
should
best
definitely
they
get a
can.
ticket for that.
Well, until we run it and establish it on a more frequent basis, I don't think it would be fair to ticket the residents.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Next. Name and address, please.
My name is John Marshall, I'm from 209 16th Street. But I'm here on behalf of my parents. Okay, within the last 5 years, they've had their property surveyed 5 times. Mr. Cachellis keeps moving the property stake. In fact, they had to go to magistrate. He went to move the property stake, my dad stepped on his hand, my dad got. Okay, so I go up there, we get it redid again, I found a stake in there. All his stuff is right on line. Now, Dawn comes up there, she makes my mom move all her stuff. His stuff is still there, no one's making him move. He wasn't told to move it that day. All she kept saying, you want to go back to the magistrate. Now, I want to know where the backyard ends and the side yard starts. Because this is their house right here, right? Here's his house up here. I can put a 6-foot fence there and there, since that's the backyard, or is that still considered a side yard?
I can't see Mr. Marshall.
I got papers right here, you guys can have them. I'll say off one for every one.
Mary, have you been up there?
You're supposed to.
All right, so let me caution you here, if it fits the code, then it's just a matter of applying for a permit, if I can say so. If, however, Mr. Marchionne, there's something there that's out of the ordinary, you'd have to have a zoning board hearing, I would imagine.
So I'm trying to figure out what I gotta do.
Yes, this would not be the avenue for it, but I asked your mother to come down here because I wanted to make sure that, all the representatives, including the borough manager here, heard the situation in terms of putting up the fence, and trying to give you some resolution here so that everybody can live peacefully in the neighborhood.
Right, well,
I
4 foot's
understand.
not gonna do it, you know what I'm saying? Because his house sits up here, the property's down here, 4 foot isn't good enough.
A 4-foot-high fence, right?
Right.
Based on your drawing in the, you can put a 6-foot fence along the alley,
Right.
from the alley to the back corner of your house.
Okay, right where his property stake is.
Further up, you can go all the way to the back corner of your mother's house.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
So you can extend it another, I don't know, that's 85 feet, probably 40 more feet from that pin where you're stopping here
Right.
to your back corner. And then if you wish to extend it along your side, your side yard is from the front corner to the back corner. That would constitute your side.
Let's, also, the other little caveat that goes in there, and I had to do this on both sides of my property, so you wind up with 2 fences. Because I had a little one at the time, that had to run over the hill. So I believe you have to come in a foot
Off the property.
off the property line. And I don't know if that's acceptable for your parents, but I'm just telling you now because I don't want you to get upset.
No, I wanna do it the right way, 'cause I don't wanna do it twice.
If you wanted to go on the property line, right to the property line, then it would, again, it's a variance here. That's how that works.
But how, like, his stuff is on there, I need somebody to come up there, why is his stuff on that? And he wasn't told to move it that day, only my mother was told to move her stuff. Jeff, you weren't there, Jeff? My mother wasn't told to move her property, stuff off of that property line? She was ever shaking on the fence and stuff and said, what's this?
Well, Mr. Marshall, if you would, it's kind of like, it's going to sound like a civil matter.
Well, I'm just saying.
We're trying to give you some resolution, sir. I mean,
So how do I get that guy up there? The new ordinance officer or whatever. he is?
well, the neighborhood services officer would come up, I mean, he would tell him, if it's on the property line, if it's on your property line, you have to move. He'd have to move, okay? He doesn't, and I'm not a lawyer.
I understand that.
And I say this once a meeting, but I would imagine that it would have to go to the magistrate if he's not complying.
What are you contesting that the Chelseas have on
I have
your
pictures.
mother's.
Here's where the stake is now, that white fence is right on that stake. It's not a foot, it's not even an inch, it might even be on her property. Oh, now there's a sidewalk. That we were told to move our stuff off of the alley line, when you see that alley line there? He has a garden, a sidewalk, some other stuff out on that alley. My mother was told to move her stuff off it.
Has Owen been out there at all?
Owen has this particular matter before him. He hasn't done anything before it because I had discussions with you. You come in for a permit, and we were basically waiting for follow-up action on you requesting the permit because they have a fence on their property currently that is being questioned as to whether or not it's legal and whether it constitutes a fence, whatnot. But that will all be rectified if you move forward with this. Now, with this could then bring a issue with the fence that the Chelseas have. They did have a permit, this is going back years, pre the fence ordinance, and whether it constituted or required them to put it a foot off. You've got to go back in chronological order as to when that was put up, and was that requirement for a foot off, did it exist when that was erected? Because we have a lot of fences in Monaca Borough that are on the line. So, you know, when he put it there and it was on the property line, if it's on the property line, it may be legal.
All right.
Now, if it's on your mother's property, and we can verify based on surveys, then, you know, and this then gets into a matter that I think removes the borough, and it becomes a civil matter in which they have to rectify those particular issues.
So you're probably, I think, the whole thing in a nutshell is you're gonna have a fence right on the property line, and then your mother's fence will be a foot back, and that's what I had, and it's.
I just wanna make sure I have to put a 4-foot fence.
No.
If that's considered a side yard, all the way up there, or that's part of the backyard.
That's your mother's rear yard, she's permitted 6 foot, and my understanding was there was maybe some potential, you wanted to put an 8 foot, but that can, 6 foot, you're good, and, yeah, myself, anyone in the office will assist you in moving this.
Okay, now, as far as the alley now, if my mother had to move her stuff off the alley, will that guy to come up there and look at that stuff?
If there's something encroaching the alley, then we'll have to address it
Very good.
I have a question on it, if I may. How far off the alley does he have to come from reference to the property line, his property line? Is it a foot, or is it just, I can't remember.
I mean, we have a 20-foot right-of-way through there,
Okay.
so that should be, remain clear of any personal, you know, if the sidewalk is encroaching into that 20-foot right-of-way, then it would have to be moved.
You got a garden out
Or-
Okay. I hope that helps.
I just have one comment.
Yes.
In particular, if we're gonna send down up there to look at everybody on the alley, I think we need to look at everybody on that alley, so that we're not going house by house, individuals coming down along.
Well, it would have to be the whole alley.
That's
If there's an
what I'm
issue with the
saying.
alley, then it's.
You have
yeah.
garbage pickup in that alley?
I think I go to the front.
Yeah.
Front
Okay,
end,
so
front
we
end.
want to make sure those trucks can get in and out of there for now. I think we're exploring perhaps down the road to have, you know, front of the house pick up. That's just, you know, we're thinking of that and we're going to preserve the alleys, but that's a discussion for another day.
Okay. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
Is that it?
Yeah, as long as I put a 6-foot fence.
I have one question for you. I believe you're involved in the American Legion?
I'm the president.
Okay, then you're the man. I have a bag full of American flags in the trunk of my car, and we need to get it down. Is there any chance you could wait around
Yeah.
after the meeting? I'll give it to them. Thank you so much,
No
sir.
problem. Thanks, guys.
Okay, anybody else?
Hi, my name's Regina Abraham. I've been here before. I live on 2109 Ridge. I'm here about the same thing, and I apologize because I didn't know that we had a new officer taking care of this stuff. I would call and start that process first. But anyway, long story short, The two stumps here, I was complaining before about the lots. We're taking care of the lots. My neighbor does one on one side of me, and I do Lang's, who I bought my house from. So that's not even an issue. We do it just because I don't want mice and all that other stuff. And by the way, the garbage, nobody throws garbage, knock on wood, because it doesn't look like a garbage dump, which was what I mentioned before.
Yes.
But I have the two stumps on both sides of my house that are rotted, and I'm concerned about termites. One belongs to, well, they're both contractors, you know. One belongs to Luca, and if you're facing my house on the right, the other belongs to Lang. I bought my house in February, because you all know, because I was down here for other things, in 2007. My house is pretty. My neighbors are meticulous, that young couple, Jeff will attest to that, they're wonderful. And, you know, I look like I live in some, I don't know, backwoods place, because I have these two stumps that are just utterly ridiculous. So it's frustrating. It's getting old.
You know what, Ms. Lieber, in 19 years, I don't recall coming across anything regarding stumps other than, this is on property?
This is on, and Mr. Angeline, he could attest, he walks, I see him walk. I mean, it's not like I live in a cul-de-sac or by myself and I have 17, you know. It's Ridge Road. I mean, you know, you're walking past. It's ridiculous. It's like two rotted out stumps, and it's
Where are the stumps that I
on their properties. It's lot
On the
one.
property?
Yeah, I apologize, I didn't bring that,
Sorry.
because I've had that sent 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But it's the Lang's lots originally, there was lot one, if you're looking from the, if you're facing the property. So lot one is the little lot that's all those evergreens there. That's as far as I know, that's still Lang's property. And then my house is lot two, facing Ridge. And then there's lot 3 and 4, that was all subdivided, which is a whole other issue. And then 5 and 6, Michelle, my neighbor in the back, bought those. And she bought the other lot from the Luca. Well, you know, I'm not on very good speaking terms with either one of them, so.
That complicates it.
Yeah, I did write a letter, and it was a nice letter, you know, that was years ago. So, you know, my point is, and that's, I have this little letter, I was gonna submit it to you, just, I didn't make copies for everybody, but I would like you to have it for purposes that it's documented again, and then I will have to contact, I guess, the other community officer. Because I'm just wondering, why don't they just cut these stumps? I mean, you could walk over, Jeff knows, he's looking at it, it's like, you know, not even at the end. I walk out of my garage door, and there's the stump, because the property's right there, it's at 5 feet. It's like, how hard is that?
Well,
Really?
people will be,
Contractors, and that was my other question, or the day I realized that, you know, you're looking for, you're generating income for Monaca. That's great, I'm glad, you know, I'm happy, but it somehow seems that they exempt, because eventually, this is what I heard originally, that both of them, and from some people here, and from both of them, they're going to build on there. Well, that's great. I lived there since February 2007, and what year are we in? 2015, they're both empty. So my point is, are you not obligated to maintain a lot, whether there's a house, whether you're the contractor, whether you're going to build houses on it or not? And that was my question. I'm feeling responsible for my lot, why aren't they being held responsible for what they own?
why don't we try this way? If you please, let us have the letter.
Thank you.
We'll turn it over to our neighborhood services officer.
Okay.
We'll see what he can do. Now, I don't know if we have anything in orders that's not tree stump.
You got it.
Tree stump. So that's doesn't apply.
This is a very challenging matter. And unfortunately, on multiple occasions, government has to legislate common sense.
Right.
And this is one of these matters that unfortunately, I don't believe that Monaca Borough legislated common sense on dead trees or stumps. You know, we have people that have dead trees.
Right. Well, that was originally
And we can't, there's no ordinance that requires us to have them cut down the dead tree. Now, if there's some health or safety where the branch is looming and then you may be able to hang your hat on that particular matter of public safety. But now a dead stump, there's not an ordinance that says that has to be removed.
Okay, but it's brought, I have pictures, it's rotted from the inside.
Yeah.
It's falling over. So my point is, why, I would like to get somebody over there, and it would have to be my expense, because I'd never get it back from the contractors, either one of them. So if there's termites there on somebody else's lot, which is directly, next to mine, and it's empty, there's no houses there, who's responsible for that? Am I responsible for that if I get termites in my home? And I'm not trying to be facetious, I'm saying, not that it's a stump and, I'm frustrated, which is true. It's rotted, and,
We had this actual discussion in regards to dead trees, not necessarily
Right,
stump,
I
but
remember
the
that.
whole tree, in the office here yesterday. And unfortunately, there is nothing in the codes that we're able to, put our thumbs on, to say,
Could you
okay,
add
we
it
can do
in
it.
a code?
That's
Somewhere down the road?
possibly what it's gonna require, is the borough going through the exercise of adding language on dead tree and shrubbery and all that, and to the tune of, spending, about a couple $1,000s to do it, in advertising and costs and recodifying our zone book. But
They had the equipment there the day that he was there the one time, long time ago. So it's not like, you're asking some elderly woman to go, and the guy had the equipment there. He said you're gonna.
based on your concerns, I think council hears you, and this will be a matter that you may have to prioritize, and adding language addressing dead trees and shrubbery.
Let's see what we can do first. He'll approach you and, try to speak to him in a nice manner. Pardon?
Owen is here typically Monday through Thursday. He's 32 hours a week. It does flex. Sometimes if he has vacation or something, it may be Tuesday and Friday. But primarily Monday through Thursday.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? Last call. All right, thank you. Visitor section is not closed. Mr. Michael, we will circle around to your request this time.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna be involved in this, that, I think we have the old budgets stashed somewhere in previous years. I'd like to get a copy of the budgets for the last 10 years, including the line items and the expenditures, if I could. Okay.
It's there, and I believe the existing budget which you have goes back 7 years, 2008, 2009.
Go ahead, anything else?
No, I'm just saying the line items and expenditures.
What else you got?
Nothing to answer. Building permits.
Okay. Ready, sir?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. York, we have an executive session at all?
Yes.
Okay.
The purpose of it was to discuss acquisition of real estate.
All right.
Make that motion.
Mr. Brewer makes the motion for, to go enter executive session. Second, there's no second there, Mr. McKay? Yes, sir. Second by Mr. McKay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will go into executive session and.
You gotta go get your flags.
I better do that, Mr. Marshall, because we could be in here for a while. Just, you know what, Jeff, if you can get them started while I take care of this, I appreciate it. We'll meet across the hall.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it is 9:09. I need a motion to get back into regular session. One time. Mr. Michael made that, Mr. Zigarelli seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. Okay, we're back in regular session. Where are we at? Rich?
I think first you wanted to entertain a motion authorizing the solicitor to conduct title searches on properties that are subject to the Beaver County Judicial Sale List set for September. The tax ID numbers for those properties will be supplied by the manager.
So moved.
Mr. Brewer, you made the motion. Mr. May?
Second.
Seconded? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Secondly, you want to entertain a motion authorizing the solicitor and manager to pursue the purchase of property, or excuse me, to pursue interest in feasibility of purchasing properties that are near to or abutting Pennsylvania Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Brewer makes the motion, Mr. Michael seconds it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please signify by saying nay. What else we got?
That was it.
Okay. Any announcements?
No announcements.
No announcements? Okay, need to entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Brewer makes the motion to adjourn, Mr. Michael seconds. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please signify by saying nay. Thank you.